Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Wisdom Speakers and Seekers podcast. My name is Jennifer Regular. I'm a soul-centered empowerment coach at Lighting the Path, and I'm also your host here at the Wisdom Speakers and Seekers podcast. This is where I bring guests from around the world to share messages about how we can more fully embody who we are, who we came here to be, and what we came here to do. So today, my guest is from Florida. Philip Turner is a personal empowerment coach. He's also the co-founder of Art of Attraction and the co-creator of In a Shituation. This is a life coaching card deck that he co-created. And you can think of him as a Shitty Situation Strategist. Today, he's here to share his journey and help us all discover, who am I now? Philip, welcome. It's so great to have you here.
Hey, Jennifer, thank you so much. It's amazing to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on, giving me the opportunity to be here and share with, all your amazing people, your amazing listeners, and it's amazing. So it feels amazing.
It is amazing. It's amazing that you're here and that all of you are with us. And I really love the question that you proposed, Philip, about who am I now? And I think that's so important because sometimes we can get really attached to who we used to be and also try to live up to who other people think we are or still are. But the fact is, life is fluid. We're fluid. We're always evolving, ever changing. Our environments change, our activities, our interests, but quite often our values stay the same. And we end up in situations that don't really connect with who we are in that moment. So I'd love to hear about your journey and what's happened to you throughout your life, what kind of wisdom you've gained from that, and who are you now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Well, I want to start off by saying, we as humans are designed to change. Like we are meant to change. It can be difficult. It can be scary. There are certain, parts or aspects of us that, we don't really want to let go of, because we've kind of made certain commitments that we must be a certain way or that the world must be a certain way. And sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to let those things go. But we are designed to change. And so change is entirely possible. Some people say, no, people don't change. People don't ever really change. And I would say that is bullshit. So part of my journey that kind of got me started on this massive shift from ways that I used to be to who I am now started with divorce, really. And that was my big awakening moment. That was my pain, my suffering or struggle that triggered the change. And so sometimes it takes, sometimes we go through these situations and it feels like it's going to last forever. It feels like maybe this is just who I'm meant to be. Maybe I'm just supposed to be miserable. And I feel like those moments are what forces us to change. Like the suffering is what triggers or puts in motion. It's kind of like the catalyst for real change. And so, are you asking that I kind of go into like a little bit of the story of?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I went through a divorce. I was married, very much in love, and working my job. I had a daughter. I still have a daughter, but we eventually separated and we spent a little bit of time apart, and the habits, the addictions to the certain chemicals, that get created in our brain when we think a thought, the feelings all start to, we kind of feel deprived. And so that led my ex and I back together. And even though we knew that the relationship wasn't really right, it's still something that like kind of felt right because that's what we were kind of programmed to be. So after a little bit of time, we decided to move. We moved away, and I was working a job in Oregon, and we lived in Montana, moved to Oregon. And then at like 6 months later, we ended up splitting up again. And she moved back to Montana with our daughter. So I was all this time a husband and a father, and that was my whole identity. I was a provider. I was a man of the household. I was I was who I thought all, I thought that I was all of these things, and then I wasn't anymore. So that in those moments, like watching the U-Haul go away with my daughter in the car, in the U-Haul driving away from me, that was like this soul crushing moment, because it was like, who am I now? Like, what am I now? I've identified with being a dad, and I've identified with, this other person, this other relationship that I have with this woman, and it's all ending, and it's coming crashing down. Like, what the hell am I going to do? And that's what started triggering the change. Like, I really wanted to die, is those feelings that came up, because as we go about our lives, we wake up and we get out of bed in the same way, we brush our teeth in the same way, we have all these different habits, we have all these different strategies that remind us of who we are. And we have people that we're around, we have conversations that we have thoughts that we think, jobs that we do, tasks that we perform, activities that we engage in, and all of these things we start to believe make up who we are. They're all habits, really. And it triggers certain chemicals in the brain, which creates and gets sent down to the body, and it creates a feeling. And those feelings are what we become addicted to. So a lot of us, we kind of tend to flow through life doing the same things, because that's kind of what we've been programmed to do. And so I don't know if you've been divorced before, when that happens, especially if you have a child who you are very much in love with, and all that gets kind of stripped away, all those things, all those habits, all those chemicals, your physiology is completely shifted, and you don't even feel like you anymore. And so dying felt like it would be easier. And that's something that I wanted to kind of speak into, was it kind of feels like a death, because you're not you anymore. Who I like, the person that I thought I was no longer anymore. And yeah, that's what started the change. I will pause there. Are you and so
that heartbreak, when our heart breaks, then it's meant to grow bigger, and there's something that keeps you going, right? You wanting to die. There's also that ego death and that identity death, right? Of who you thought you were, what you thought your life was going to be like, and going from those roles and those habits and those situations, and then not knowing where that leaves you, feeling very lost, discombobulated, dismembered, really, where things just fall apart, you fall apart. And I can imagine what that would be like. And I also noticed, because I've suffered a lot of loss in my life, I was married in the past. We never did end up getting divorced. I've been legally separated over 16 years. There's been no contact, because in my situation, it was more of around domestic violence. And what all the things that came about through that loss of my pets and husband and house, and loss of different jobs that I had, even bankruptcy, people losing their children through death or divorce, having miscarriages, all of the things that we can become very attached to and think is part of our identity. When we go through the grieving process, there's many different emotions and feelings that can come up that can feel very confusing. And there's also a real awakening that happens. There's the remembering of who you truly are, and as a soul. And I'm interested to know what it was, what spirit or soul helped you, the aspects of you that helped you carry on when you felt you were dying. Do you remember what that was, that held the light for you, that held the hope for you, that gave you the idea that maybe there is life out beyond this?
Yeah. Yeah. So it started, I did have a daughter, and, I did FaceTime her every single day. So there was that. I mean, I'm grateful that now, like, we have technology that allows us to stay connected from, long distances. Um, the thing that I did try to escape to was clinging on or latching on to other people and the
Mm.
validation of others. And that didn't work. um, I, would try to go out. I was like, okay, now I have an opportunity to kind of just do me and do things that I want to do. And I met a lot of different people. I made a lot of really great friends, and I did meet. I started dating very soon after, and I eventually got to the point where I was dating 5 different women at once, and holy shit, that's exhausting. And right. And so that's where I try to, it's okay, well, this person doesn't want me, like, maybe someone does. And so
Mm.
I try to seek this validation and this approval from other people. And with all these women that I was seeing and dating, I felt really great when it was happening. I mean, none of them I really felt like was like my soulmate or anything like that. But I mean, at least someone wanted me. At least, like, I felt some sort of value. And then when it didn't, when it wasn't like happening, and I would spend a few days alone,
Mm-hmm.
then I felt just as shitty as I did before. And that's when I realized, I was like, okay, there's something really, really wrong here. And I'm like, why? Like, why? I'm like, why do I feel this way? Like, even though I had, I got to meet and spend time with all these great people, and now that I'm by myself, now I feel awful. Like,
Mm.
realizing that I'm not happy on my own, realizing that I can't feel good or have fun or laugh or just enjoy myself, enjoy my own company on my own, was a huge, like, that was kind of a huge slap in the face. And so I was like, okay, I broke things off with every woman that I was seeing, and I was like, okay, I need to spend time on my own.
Hmm.
And I did that. I spent days in my apartment. I had a job that was actually pretty cool. I had 4 days on, 4 days off, 3 on, 3 off, which was kind of nice. So I had I did have time, but I would spend my weekends, my long weekends, sometimes just sitting and just kind of meditating and being okay with myself, being
Mm-hmm.
okay with my circumstances, just being present with where I was. Like, I had a great job and I had money and a nice place to live. So that was all really great. I understand not everybody has those things. Well, I try to focus on being grateful for the things that I did have, because there was a lot of things that I didn't have that I really wanted. I wanted my daughter there with me. I wanted to be a dad again, and I wanted to be a husband again. And I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to feel like the person that I thought that I was. And that resistance to, like, wanting all those things and the resistance to what was, that's what created a lot of suffering. It's like, I want
Yes.
all these things, and there's a huge disconnect.
Hmm.
There's a huge disconnect between all the things that I wanted and what I was currently experiencing. And so finding a way to accept who I was, finding a
Yes.
way to just kind of be and be in non-resistance, was that's where things started, like, really changing. And I actually started enjoying myself just because I was enjoying myself. And I actually started going into work and doing overtime just because I liked it. And I liked the people that I was around. I liked the value that I had to offer people. And I liked the energy that I got to bring into people's experience. And I was really grateful to have a friend who was really amazing. He told me, he's like, I want everybody, like, any time that anybody spends with me, like, this could be their last moments ever. And I want to make sure that the time that people are spending with me is, like, the best and most fun that it can possibly be. I'm like,
Yes.
you are an amazing, beautiful human. I'm so grateful for you. So I was grateful I had someone, I had someone there to kind of offer me perspective. And it's about perspective and about choosing what I'm able to focus on. We get to choose what we focus on. And
Yes.
that ultimately dictates a lot of what is in our experience. Because nothing that I was going through, I mean, there were a lot of bad things, but that's not all the information that I was experiencing. That was just only what I was focused on. I had a lot of other great stuff going on. Had a lot of other great things going on in my life. I mean, we think about perspective. We live in this modern society. We live better than any king ever has. I mean, 150 years ago and all the way back, like we get to poop in toilets and it just gets taken away from us. Like, how amazing is that? Like, so there's so many things to be grateful for, it doesn't just stay there, and so I started seeing, I started, practicing gratitude and started getting to see like how beautiful things were in my experience. And that was such a powerful shift, as being present with myself, being present with who I was, being present with the things that I was experiencing, the things that were in my environment, and noticing the beauty and choosing that I got to focus on a lot of good stuff rather than things that just weren't what I would label as right.
Yeah, there's a lot of transformation that can happen in the place of presence. And you mentioned perspective and acceptance and letting go of the resistance and having the power of choice and being in gratitude for what was right in front of you. And I find when we can keep what's true in front of us, then we don't get lost that way. And you really seem to embrace all that was available to you and wanted more of that. And recognizing that life is so much bigger than what we think it is, right? In a certain way, with certain conditions and certain ways of being. So I think that's really an amazing process to remember that. We talked about the dismemberment of falling apart and feeling like we're dying and not knowing who we are anymore, where we need to be, or doing what we need to be doing. And then we remember what's really important, what we value, who we are, and we put back together life, essentially, right? That life starts happening for us and not to us, as some would say. And how do we then connect with other people so that we can feel supported in living our lives? And people do come in and out of our lives throughout time. And with being able to really settle into who you are, right? Settle into how you want to be in gratitude and accepting and opening up. And ego, we talked about the ego death a little bit, that ego wants to compare, to other situations or even who we were before. We tend to compare ourselves to what we were like before. And in Soul, we're connecting more. We start connecting to life again and to each other and more to ourselves, and being thankful and being in gratitude and honoring what's present in our life right now, rather than clinging on to or grasping what used to be and that we want more of. And you mentioned a lot, Philip, about the feelings that you were wanting to have again. What can you describe the kind of feelings you had as a father and a husband that you didn't feel like you had there for a while? What were those feelings?
So the feelings that I had as a, sorry, make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. Yeah. The feelings that I had as a father and as a husband that I felt like I didn't have anymore, and was kind of like trying to chase.
It's what caused the suffering. Yeah.
So it wasn't, I mean, I wasn't at that time. I can't say I was like so aware that I was really searching for a feeling so much. Now that you're asking, and I'm trying to kind of go back and, place myself in that place. It was fulfillment. And there was a certain satisfaction that I was fulfilling a duty. I felt like I had purpose as a father, and my daughter and my wife was a whole purpose for me. And so when my family was no longer there, I didn't feel like I had a purpose anymore. And so without that sense of purpose, there didn't seem to be any meaning in anything anymore. Because that's all that was important to me. And I don't feel like that's entirely healthy to do.
Is that what you would call a shituation?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Tell me about this co-creation that you created, and who did you co-create it with, first of all?
Yeah. So after I had broken up with the women that I was seeing, the few
five, yeah.
I mean, there was more in and out, but there was the five core ones,
Yeah.
and so all amazing. I want to add that this wasn't a unethical thing or anything like that. It was just really, really incredible women that I love to spend time with. Wishing all of them the best, and I needed time for myself. So I had to, after I let that go, I spent time on my own, just kind of really enjoying myself, enjoying my journey, enjoying the process of what was happening for me. That's really the biggest piece of general life advice that I could give to anybody is enjoy the process. I was kind of learning to enjoy the process and have fun with it. So I took a trip, I saw family, I came back, I was working nights at the time. And so I needed to stay up so I could go to work the following night. So I could kind of get my sleep schedule back on. I ended up going out and I met this woman named Nancy. And I was so drawn to her and just hooked right away. I saw her, we met in Portland and got to know each other. She lives here in Florida. I lived in Oregon at the time, and we started a relationship. Not a very, official relationship. There we go. The official term, but we, stayed in contact and got to know each other more and more. Ended up just completely falling in love. I decided to quit my job. I started my business doing what I'm doing now, helping people along in their situations after I'd gone through mine. And now that we started working together, we wanted to be able to help and reach a lot of people, no matter what it was that they were going through. And a lot of the principles that I had learned and implemented in my own situation, she has hers, eating disorder, 2 divorces. I have a divorce and a broken engagement. So we have 3.5 divorces.
Between the two of you. Yeah. Yeah.
So, experienced deaths and loss and, certain health issues. And there are certain principles that can apply to anything that will make, that can help make people's lives better, and certain habits and practices that we can implement that kind of apply to anything. And so let's compile this and make it accessible and fun for people. So we created a Shituation, and it's a life coaching card deck that it's like a life coach. It's like a life coach in a box. So it's like a 12-week program where at the beginning of every week is a different principle or practice or topic, I guess we could say. So week 1 being clarity, okay, where are you now? Where is it that you want to be? What's your situation? Where's the disconnect? And what is the action that you can kind of start taking, today or tomorrow, and move yourself in the right direction? That's clarity, is knowing. So we give an exercise at the beginning of the week on, how to gain more clarity. And then for the following 6 days, they get another card that is a piece of perspective or support or guidance or encouragement that kind of keeps people engaged, throughout the week. And it just you just pull a card from the front, move it to the back, and that's your action card. And then the next day you get another card and move it to the back. So they're in an order. You don't like shuffle them or anything like that. And it's like this goes on for 12 weeks, 84 days. So 84 days of inspiration and encouragement, guidance, support. And, it's very doable. It makes personal development or, growth like very achievable because, the steps are impactful, but they're very simple. So it's not like you have like all this crazy homework to do all week and have to spend like hours. We can use these as journal prompts. You really do get out what you put into it. So that's what we created was in a Shituation life coaching deck.
That is awesome. That sounds amazing. And so does your new relationship and partnership with Nancy.
Yes, she is incredible. So I'm very grateful to have met her. And so that's we're helping people with relationships as well. And people are like, you guys have this incredible relationship. How do I do that? And so that was another thing we're helping people with for a while. And, how to attract your ideal partner. We attracted each other from opposite ends of the country. I knew that I wanted something more. I knew I wanted something better for myself, for my life. And there was things that she wanted, and we ended up meeting just by chance out in the middle of the night, and who knew that there would be like such, synergy and chemistry between us at that point. And I got to learn more things about her and get to see this whole other world of, how she was helping people and the difference that she was making in people's lives. And I'm like, I want to do that. I can do that. I can do this.
She inspired you.
Yeah. She was a huge inspiration. And so I was just, completely, I just fell for it like super hard, and I tried to resist it.
I can see why.
I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. I try to resist
Sounds like you really bring out the best in each other. And a lot of that comes about too when we bring out the best in ourselves, right? And then have that other person to reflect that back. And you spoke about the art of attraction. So obviously you created and developed this art of attraction. Can you tell us a little bit more about that for others who are trying to attract something or someone in their life?
Yeah, absolutely. So art of attraction was, as it started, we used art of attraction brand as our dating course, and, helping people attract their ideal partner. Mm-hmm. And we have since decided to kind of shift it to art of attraction being like our whole umbrella. So art of attraction is our like kind of umbrella for in a situation cards. We're going to be doing like live courses or like a live coaching based off the cards every week. And I do one-on-one coaching with people as well. We have other free offers. I know you're going to share a link that has a whole like a list of free offers. Nancy has a burn your bullshit ritual every week for free.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, right. Any limiting beliefs, you have, or ideas you want to let go, or something that you're just not wanting to hold on to anymore. We write it down, and you can burn it, like physically burn it and let that shit go.
Yes.
And so she does that for free every week. And so art of attraction is going to be like the umbrella of everything that we're doing. I plan on doing other stuff. I've been coaching men through divorce for a while. I'm thinking about making a course, so that'll all be under art of attraction as well. So does that answer your question?
It does. It does answer my question. It brings up another one because you mentioned about men and divorce, and that's not often talked about or looked at. And I think it should be, speaking as a woman, but you as a man and getting other men to speak about it. I mean, that must be, do you encounter a lot of resistance? What do you find how do you get men to talk about divorce, I guess is what I'm asking.
So there are various groups that are really supportive of men who are going through divorce. Typically the conditioning is you don't, like, as a man, you don't talk about your feelings. You don't open up, you don't show these things to the world. You don't be vulnerable. That's a weakness. And the best thing to do is go to the bar and have a beer with your buddy. And maybe he's wanting to listen, but probably not. You just have a beer together and you feel better for till the morning, I guess. And that's your self-help. That's your personal development for the day. And that doesn't work. I mean, it's temporary, it's a temporary fix, but it doesn't actually get to the core and solve like any actual emotions or problems. And so I'm really grateful to see that there are men who are more willing to open up and share about things that they have going on. A lot of them are not ready to talk. A lot of men just don't want to. They might not ever be ready. Some of them are like, you know what? I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm miserable. I'm recognizing this and I'm ready to change it. And so the ones who are ready to change it are, you can't help anybody who's not really wanting the change. Right. And so I try to make it, some of these groups that I'm a part of and communities that I'm a part of, I try to make it to where this success that people are wanting to achieve is attainable. And it's not as difficult as a lot of people think that it is. This making changes in our lives and wanting to feel a certain way. It feels and looks like really big, but really it comes down to just making the decision. You make the decision, and even if that decision is you're going to find someone who's going to help you. More and more men, it's starting to become more normalized. More and more men are like ready and willing to talk. Historically, that hasn't been the case. And I imagine probably 10 years ago, that this doing what I do would probably have almost been impossible. But there are men who are more and more willing to open up. And so they normally are wanting to do so in groups or communities where they're not going to feel emasculated or shamed. It's a little bit easier when there's no women involved. A lot of our identity, is derived from how desirable we are to the opposite sex. And so that's that can cause like a lot of suffering. And so opening up in front of women is really hard, especially after they just got done being hurt by a woman. And so it's like, that's not anything that they're wanting to be around or be a part of. So in groups that are, specifically men, it seems to be a little bit easier. And I went to a school that was mainly guys. Also, when I was going, like after high school, I went to a tech school to learn how to work on cars. So it was mainly guys. There were a few women there, and the class dynamic of what the overall vibe of the classroom was like, even if we had one girl, was totally different than any classes that I had that was just guys. It was totally different. And so guys are a lot more willing to open up and a lot more willing to be, talk about embarrassing stuff when there's not,
to create some sort of brotherhood and community, like you say, and a safe space to be able to share with each other. And when students ready, the teacher appears, and you get to do that now, which is awesome. So how can people get a hold of you, Philip, if they want to connect and learn more about you and what you do, and maybe learn about one of these programs or your card deck and so on?
Yeah. So I have a couple places that we can send people to. Our Facebook and Instagram are both at In a Shituation. It's Shituation, like a shitty situation. At In a Shituation, we have our homepage of our website is just aoa.wtf. There's an art of attraction what the fuck. So aoa.wtf. And if you backslash that and add links on the end, it kind of gives our list of all the different links. There's a link to do a one-on-one discovery session with me. There's a link to join the Burn Your Bullshit. There's a link for a free guide to less stress in 7 days. that has our vlog on there for that Nancy and I have recently started. So there's not a lot on there yet, but there's a few videos. Our vlog homepage, access to get the In a Situation deck and order that. AOA.WTF/links will kind of take you to the tree of all the social media and anywhere that you want to go.
Sounds like some amazing offerings there, and we'll definitely have the link down below this video if you're interested. Then I encourage you to check it out. Phil, it was so wonderful having you here with us today. I really appreciate you showing up and sharing your vulnerability and your story and all that you came to be and doing what you're doing now in the world. I'm grateful for who you are.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful for you as well. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of open up. And, I've actually talked about my divorce in a while. So I was actually kind of like, damn, this sucked. I was kind of like I was really feeling it earlier on. So, it's been a little while since I talked about it. So, thank you for being there and listening, being there, listen, and allowing me to kind of share and reconnect with some of why I do why I do what I do.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for all of you for being here, for listening today on the Wisdom Speakers and Seekers podcast. And we hope to see you again next time. Have a fantastic day. Bye, everyone.